Right now, you're standing on a planet that already feels massive. It takes a plane 22 hours to fly around it. Mount Everest took climbers centuries to conquer. The ocean floor still hasn't been fully explored. And yet, all of that, every mountain, every ocean, every city you've ever heard of, sits on a planet that's actually kind of small compared to what's out there. So here's the question. What if Earth's radius was 10 times bigger? Not 10% bigger. 10 times bigger. Picture a planet so massive that our entire Earth could fit inside it over 1,000 times. Sounds awesome, right? More land, more room, more everything. Buckle up, because the answer is way weirder. And honestly, way cooler than Big Earth with extra countenance. And stick around for the ending, because the twist genuinely might change how you look at the night sky. Let's start with the fun stuff. If Earth's radius grew 10 times, guess what its size would actually match? Jupiter. That's not an exaggeration. A 10 times bigger Earth would be almost exactly Jupiter's size. So next time you look up a picture of Jupiter with its swirling orange stripes, that's basically the answer to what if Earth was 10x bigger, except it wouldn't have stripes. It would probably just be a giant ball of crushing gravity with no ground to stand on. Fun, right? Here's why. The bigger a planet gets, the stronger its gravity gets. And at a certain size, that gravity becomes strong enough to grab onto huge amounts of hydrogen and helium gas floating around in space and just never let go. Small planets like Earth are too weak to hold on to that gas. So it drifts away and we're left with a nice, walkable, rocky surface. But a planet 10 times our size would have so much gravity, it would basically vacuum up a thick atmosphere hundreds of kilometers deep, burying any rocky ground under an ocean of gas. So instead of a bigger backyard, you'd get an endless, crushing sky with no floor. But let's have some fun with this and pretend physics let us cheat. Let's say our planet somehow stayed solid rock all the way up to 10 times the size. What would life actually be like there? First problem, gravity. A lot of gravity. Roughly 10 times what you feel right now. Here's a fun way to picture it. Right now, you can pick up a heavy backpack without much trouble. On this planet, just standing up would feel like permanently wearing a backpack stuffed with another version of you. Sitting down would feel like a workout. Walking up a single flight of stairs would feel like climbing a mountain. Forget the gym. Just getting out of bed would be leg day every single day for your entire life, and sports would basically break. Forget slam dunks. Forget home runs. Forget anyone ever jumping higher than a few inches off the ground. A basketball dropped from shoulder height wouldn't bounce. It would basically thud into the floor like a bag of concrete. Skydiving would be a nightmare. You'd hit terminal velocity almost instantly, and it would be nowhere near as fun as it sounds. Even something as simple as tripping and falling over would go from embarrassing to genuinely dangerous, because everything would hit the ground 10 times harder than it does here. The Olympics on 10x Earth would basically just be who can stand up the longest. It wouldn't stop at annoying. Under that kind of gravity, no living thing could look like us. Tall and skinny just wouldn't work. Your bones would need to be way too thick to support your own weight. Kind of like how an elephant's legs are basically stone pillars while a deer's are thin little sticks. So on 10x Earth, forget basketball players. The most successful creatures would probably be short, wide, and built low to the ground, more like a tortoise than a human. Sorry, tall people. This isn't your planet. The weather wouldn't be forgiving either. With 10 times the surface area to work with, the oceans and storm systems would have way more room to build up power before they ever hit land. A normal storm on this planet could easily dwarf the biggest hurricanes we've ever recorded on Earth, simply because there's nothing stopping it from growing for thousands of extra kilometers before it runs out of ocean. Waves wouldn't gently roll onto the beach. They'd arrive like walls. If you thought Earth's weather was intense, 10x Earth would make every storm here look like a light drizzle. Now here's where it gets genuinely wild. Say humanity somehow survived all that and figured out cities, technology, maybe even rockets. Could we ever leave this planet? Short answer? Basically no. The gravity would be so strong that a regular rocket, the kind that took astronauts to the moon, straight up wouldn't have enough fuel capacity to physically fit the fuel needed to escape. Scientists have actually run these numbers for real oversized rocky planets out in the galaxy, and the result is wild. Just leaving the ground could take almost 100 times more fuel than an Earth launch needs. Now multiply that for a planet even bigger. You could have a civilization brilliant enough to build skyscrapers, computers, and satellites, and they'd still be permanently grounded. Staring up at stars, they can see perfectly, but can never actually visit. Imagine inventing the rocket and still being stuck on your own planet forever. That's the kind of cosmic joke this planet would be playing on its own people. So let's pause and recap where we are. Realistically, Paintellect Earth becomes a gas giant with no surface at all. Basically Jupiter. But if we cheat and force it to stay rocky, we get a crushing, storm-battered planet full of short, tank-like creatures who are permanently grounded no matter how advanced they get. Either way, it's not exactly a real estate upgrade. And speaking of Jupiter, here's a bonus fact most people don't know. A planet that big doesn't just get bigger, it gets clingier. Jupiter currently has 95 confirmed moons. 95. Earth gets by with just one. If our planet actually grew to Jupiter's size, its gravity would likely start scooping up small asteroids and icy objects passing nearby and trapping them into orbit, one by one, over millions of years. So a real Paintellect Earth wouldn't just be one giant lonely planet. It would probably be dragging around a small entourage of dozens of captured moons. Like some kind of cosmic celebrity that can't go anywhere without an entourage. Here's the twist to end on. Remember how we said Paintellect Earth would basically be Jupiter? Well, scientists studying Jupiter with NASA's Juno spacecraft have found hints that somewhere deep inside all that gas, buried under thousands of kilometers of crushing atmosphere, there might actually be a rocky, Earth-like core hiding at the very center. So maybe we didn't need to imagine what a 10 times bigger Earth would look like after all. It might already be sitting right there, buried at the heart of the biggest planet in our solar system, with 95 moons quietly orbiting around it, hiding in plain sight this entire time.